Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. This is a podcast all devoted to the Eredivisie. We are now at the winter break, halfway point of the season already. Mike's here. I'm here. We're here to talk about the Dutch League in its entirety. We're here to go from the top to the bottom of the division, talk about those stories that are happening within the league. Mike, I hope you're looking forward to this as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always good to come together and talk about the Eredivisie. You know, a lot of our streams about the Netherlands national team, and we love that. But yeah, the bread and butter is the Eredivisie, and yeah, as you say, there's probably a lot to talk about from top to bottom.
Now, we know, of course, people do enjoy these podcasts as well as a Netherlands national team. People enjoy talking about the Dutch League. English language podcast, of course, is to be popular. So do let us know in the comments or give us a like, support us in whatever you can to let us know that you are enjoying these Eredivisie shows as well. Much to come in this show, of course. It's a final one of 2024. People may be listening to this either the end of the year or beginning of 2025. Happy New Year, of course, if this is coming to you a little bit late. But it's been a great year for Dutch football in terms of the league, I guess. Lots of interesting stories there and entertainment there. Less so for the national team in some ways, but hopefully 2025 brings better joy there. PSV are top of Christmas and are having a very similar season to the last one, where they were just scoring goals for fun, winning games all the time. And part of that has to be down to the quality of the playing squad, but also Peter Bosz has just got this team playing in a way that is suffocating for all of those Eredivisie sides. Just find it too much to handle. Only 2 defeats so far to Heerenveen and Ajax. Heerenveen was a weird blip, but the Ajax one was a proper test for them and a brilliant, brilliant game. But they finished the first half of the season with a 3-0 win over Feyenoord. I watched that and thought that Feyenoord were played off the park so easily. We will talk about them in this show for sure. But PSV had so much attacking talent on show. I've loved seeing Saibari this season. I did my team of the half season that went down like a lead balloon on social media for some reasons. Final fans. And Saibari was in there. It was one of my easiest picks. Tillman as well was a big, big part of PSV's success so far. Too good for the league, perhaps. Yeah, quality all over the pitch.
Yeah, it's the best squad in the Eredivisie. I think that their blip came when they had quite a few injuries out, so they lost Schouten and Veerman for a wee while. But even then, when they got them back now, and you can see the quality of them compared to Feyenoord in the last game was scary. So yeah, I think Peter Bosz, when he's got his full strength side out, they're too good for this league, and there is players in there that probably should be making that step up. But it's because they signed well. I mean, Tillman came from Bayern Munich, and he looks like a Bayern Munich player. He looks like he could be playing for Bayern Munich. So it was an excellent signing. After the good year that he had at Rangers. So they've recruited well. I think Flamengo looks like a great signing. I was a bit iffy on him at the start, but he looks great. Noah Lang's finally coming into his stride. And yeah, just all over the pitch, just seems strength in every single position. And yeah, they showed their real class against Feyenoord. And that could easily be now a 4-5-0 if they took their chances.
Yeah, they've just created so many chances in each of the games. The players that Bosz puts on the pitch, like if you think about Saibari and Tillman, they've played so much as a 6 and an 8 together because of the injury to Statham. But Tillman has shown he can play in any of those midfield positions. And actually, the way that PSV play, it doesn't matter because they have so much of the ball. They use the wide areas superbly. They haven't really needed Bakayoko, and he's actually coming for a bit of criticism, hasn't he, for the way he's played, not being that great. But it's just been overshadowed by so many of the players, in my opinion. I think if he had a good run in the side, he still would have been absolutely fine and still scoring goals, setting up goals. That goes to the Champions League, not just the Eredivisie. But the fact Noah Lang's now back in amongst the goals as well and really looking top fit again, because he hasn't for a long time. They're just overwhelming for people. For teams. Pepe as well. Ricardo Pepe scoring off the bench so often and then been given a good run in the side. Him and Luke de Jong, the two of them together, they never don't play together, but the two of them taking turns almost to score goals in the side. Like that's such a luxury problem for Bosch. But I think now they're trying to get it right, haven't they, when it comes to that Champions League stage, how they can defend games a little bit better. I mean, if you look at the game against Shakhtar Donetsk, they won it 3-2 because of their attacking quality. That's brilliant turnaround, scoring 3 late goals. But let those 2 in the first place, even if they're not playing great, just don't concede. Just keep it goalless, keep it, and that's what they've not been so good at so far.
Yeah, I think that's what the criticism was of Bosch going into it, is that he was a bit kamikaze with his previous sides at Leverkusen and Dortmund, and you get away with that in the Eredivisie because maybe your opponents don't have that quality to actually hit you back. Whereas in the Champions League, if there's games where they've been found out, and they've lost games that they should have won because they missed their chances going forward and then got hit on the counter or just sloppy mistakes at the back. So yeah, going like up that level, maybe they're not there yet to really go far in the Champions League, but at league level, they're not really getting challenged weekly. And they probably will lose players, whether it's a couple go in January, but maybe in the summer, the players want to take a step up. And Bosch has also got to try and factor in is when's the time to say that Pepe is the main striker going forward, and it's not Luke de Jong anymore. Because as much as Luke de Jong can pop up with goals here and there, Pepe's the one that's maybe has more to his game at the moment than de Jong. So yeah, Bosch has got a few decisions to make going forward. They've already lost Lozano, so he's gone. And Bakayoko's getting interest from the Premier League. Whether I think he's ready for that,
I think it's time to sell him though. I think it's time to make that money. Yeah,
I think that his ceiling's probably been reached at the moment in the Eredivisie, and if you keep him too long, maybe that's when the Joey Veerman factor will come into it, where clubs be kind of like, maybe not. Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe now is the time to cash in on Bakayoko, and then in the summer you're going to have the club circling Saibari and Tillman, because it's going to happen because the two of them are just that class above, and then Jerry Shoughton as well. He's already getting love from left, right, and centre. So yeah, it's going to be hard to keep him. But the signs are there that PSV are just going to rush ahead and win the title again. Because I think the teams all below them, we'll discuss them, all have a falter in them, and they all have a poor result in them. Whereas I think PSV's blip, now that they've got their players back, is being cleared, and they can just go from strength to strength in the league from now.
Yeah, I agree. They'll win the league with comfort. I think we'd said at the beginning of the season when I and Abdul met together in Edinburgh, we said that we sat together saying, PSV win the league. It's gonna be like it's kind of unfolding so far. Well, what I will say is what's going on below PSV has been more predictable and very entertaining to watch. Let's bring up the Dutch league table. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see that with us. Now, this is the table at the Christmas break. And if you're listening on an audio only podcast, perhaps on SoundCloud or Apple or any of those other random sites that apparently have got our podcast on, then you might not be able to see this, but we can talk you through some of it. PSV are top, 6 points clear. Ajax second at the moment. Let's talk about them. I think it's been the biggest story this season, as well as Utrecht. The way that they've had Frarioli. We talked about him in a Eredivisie podcast a couple of months ago, saying about the great work he was doing. It has continued to go well for Ajax, but they have had a setback before Christmas. And I think that's just fatigue. Like the amount of games they played in the Europa League to try and qualify, then being there in the league phase, being up this high in the league, it hasn't gone badly at all. But I think it's just stopped them being level top with PSV or being only 3 points behind them. They've done well to be where they are, and I think if Ajax can stay second, finish there, that is a brilliant season. Most people listen to this show and they might be aware that the bad season Ajax had last season, and want to know that second is a great recovery actually, and it is. And I think if they can stay there, brilliant. I don't think we'll see Utrecht stick around in the top four much longer. Ajax will be there, and I think it will be a battle between them and Feyenoord for second place. Yeah,
I think that if you offered Ajax fans after last season second going into winter break, 100%. And only two wins behind PSV, I think they would have snapped your hand off after last season. I think that they do still have a poor result in them. We've seen that recently. Lost AZ, but you think that they've got a squad that's good enough to challenge. It's just that this is something not clicking up front. You know, the Brian Brobby form is poor. Veghorst coming off the bench. You know, you got Akpom, who is he going to leave? Is he going to stay? You know, he's getting linked to the clubs in France again. You don't know, and I don't think that Farioli really knows if he can get the best out of Brobby yet, because so far he's just not been sort of the player we saw last season, and he's gone back to being a wasteful finisher, and that's hurt them in games. It's hurt them that they've not been able to score those goals, and that's why they're 6 points behind. But yeah, I think they've had a great first half of the season compared to last year. And I do think that if they can kick on, then they can challenge Feyenoord for second. I think Feyenoord will improve in the second half of the season. So it's got to be between them two to grab that second spot. And yeah, I agree that Utrecht have been great, but yeah, will drop off. I think that the result in the last game, you know, was in 5-2 in the end to go ahead. Eagles at home when they're 2-1 up. Kind of shows that they also have a very sticky result in them. And Ron Jansen's doing a great job there, but I don't think he's going to guide them to the Champions League. I think that Feyenoord will eventually overtake, and it'll be Feyenoord, Ajax, and PSV, the top three coming the end of the season, as it usually goes.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little less predictable in the last few years when we had like Twente finishing third or whatever. We had AZ up there at points, but now you've got perhaps that traditional top three coming back together. Ajax have loved seeing some of their players come on. Bas coming at centre back and just like really playing in there, developing him in that position. It's been amazing to see, playing as a left midfield, left back for an AC Nijmegen, and now taking on this position for Ajax. I know he hasn't been the best centre back in the league, but I think he's come on so much in that position. An absolute unknown quantity. We didn't know that was going to happen. So that's been one of my revelations, one of my surprises so far. And just the way that Kenneth Taylor's come on in 2024, like he's had a phenomenal year from coming from such a low point where we had expectations for him, but he just slipped all the way back thinking, no chance he'll play for Netherlands. Now I'm like, do you know what? I wouldn't mind him being called up and being around that squad because he's a really good technical midfielder. Yeah, give us your thoughts on Taylor, Mike, and anybody else standing out for you at Ajax at the moment?
I think he does have that quality that you wonder if in a couple of years' time, is he going to be that player that's good enough to go abroad and do it, or is he going to be an Ajax player? Is he going to be a Davy Klaassen who can do it for Ajax but can't do it abroad? Is he going to be a Van de Beek who can do it at Ajax but can't do it abroad? So basically the first move abroad is key for him. Where's he going to go? Is he going to play regularly? Is he going to be able to handle that level? And the jury's still out for him because he does fall into that category of, is he a Davy Klaassen or Donny van de Beek, or is he better than both of them? And I'm just not quite sure yet. In terms of standouts at Ajax, I think Bertrand Traoré has been pretty good since he's come back. I think he's added something to the wing. I think Henderson stepped up from last season. I think he's been better.
Agree.
And they've got a quality player at the back in Jarell Hato, who's still so young but plays with an experienced head, and I think he's having another great season for them. So there is standouts from him. I think Farioli's just got the best out of the players that he's got, but I think there's still a level to get Ajax back to where they were, and that's going to come from maybe bringing in 2 or 3 quality signings, and they really need to start out the striker position because they really need to get Brobby back to what he can be, and score some goals if they want to catch up with PSV. But I think that Farioli's showing signs that he's getting Ajax back. He just maybe needs a bit of support to get a couple of players in, and then they could really kick on.
Yeah, I agree. Well assessed there, Mike. We often do have similar views on the league, and I wonder where you are with Utrecht. How much you've watched them this season? I did see them play against Fortuna Star. We lost 5-2. Really open at the back. It's quite a surprising amount of chance they conceded, but that shows that maybe they're only just crumbling a little bit. And I don't think it will be a landslide now back down the table. I do think Utrecht will finish in that top 6, but where that will be is up to how far I think AZ and Twente might go in Europe. I think they're out of it quite early then. Utrecht will have a tougher battle. But I think if they go far, then Utrecht can take advantage of finishing a little higher up. For a long time, they were like PSV's closest challenger, but I think at no point did I ever go, oh, they need to win to keep on their tails this weekend, because we just knew that it was just going to fade away. But how badly will it fade away? Well, let's find out. Stand-up players, they haven't got many, like you were saying. El Karouani, though, is that left back is the biggest highest chance creator in the entire league. There are actually a few fullbacks in that list, the Eredivisie, but he's the standout there. His left wing crosses are incredible, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets transfer at the end of the season. Typical of the Dutch league, isn't it, that you don't see many transfers in January, but you might see some like pre-deals done. So they sign now for the summer. I think he'll probably get a transfer somewhere nice. Then you've also got Paxton Aronson, who's on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. His loan with Vitesse last season has turned into this now with Utrecht, this end of the league. I think he will continue to have a good season, and that US international will probably play somewhere else next season, if not with Frankfurt in the first team. Then after that, who can they keep around to keep a kind of a team that can compete in Europe, maybe, if they can qualify for that? There aren't many quality players around, really. I think a lot of it has been down to teamwork and experience so far. Nick Verhaven, Mike van der Horn with a centre-back pairing. Barkas in goal. But something that's done the rounds, I'm going to drop this one. And this was a small rumour. But did you see Sebastian Aller linked with Utrecht? That would be phenomenal. Brilliant. Bring him back.
Yeah, good homecoming for him if it happened. He's phenomenal for them before. And I don't think they have that striker.
No, they don't. They don't have a striker, basically. They've got three, haven't they? But they don't score goals enough.
Yeah, and Ohio seems to be one of these ones that comes off the bench, maybe taps in a couple of goals in the 90th minute, but he doesn't seem, when he starts, he doesn't have that quality yet to say that he should be going for it. If they're going to challenge for a Champions League spot, they need that quality up front. And if they can get Sebastian Haller back, that would be insane for them. And that could push them on the second half of the season if that happened. So touch wood for Utrecht fans, they can bring him back, because that would be great. And all the stuff that he's gone through in the past few years, to come back somewhere he's loved and score goals would be great for him.
Yeah, it would be. Got a few more teams in that top six to talk about, Mike, and then we've got the rest of the league as well that we're going to discuss. I'm just going to bring the table off a little bit so we can see each other a little better. Feyenoord, what have you thought about them? I've really enjoyed some of their Champions League performances this season, particularly away from home. But I think it just hasn't been consistent enough. But that just shows that they are a young team. They've got those inconsistencies. I have loved seeing Hwang play in the Eredivisie. He's made that step up to this level of league. I don't know if he could do it much higher than that. Could he go to the Premier League? I don't know. But for Feyenoord, it's just right when they have lots of the ball. Very technically very good. He's shown the Champions League full Red Star. Now he is with Feyenoord. How good a player he is. The lack of a good number 6, I think, is hurting Feyenoord, though. Rami Zaruki showing nothing that he showed at Twente. So they're relying upon Hwang, Malambo and Timber, 3 excellent technical midfielders who are all, in my opinion, good number 8s. But you've got 3 number 8s playing midfield and they're slightly out of position each. So Malambo's more of a 10, I guess. Timber, Hwang kind of sitting a little deeper. But at times I've been enamored by what Timber's produced. I think he's, again, having a good season. But I still think he's got more gears to go. I think you put him, for example, in the Netherlands sides and put some really good players around him, I think he really shines. But then as well as that, who else we got in the team? Jimenez is back from injury, scoring goals up top. They've replaced the contribution of Yakuba Minte from last season with Peixao really stepping up. The amount of assists he's got is incredible. Double figures already. If he keeps that up, that's like Dusan Tadic levels of output. And just lots of good players around the team that have brought it together. I mean, Hansko is still, for me, one of the best players in the league. It has been ever since he signed for Feyenoord. Does he go in January? That will be a big miss for them if he goes. I don't think Trauner's having a good season. And then you've got the goalkeeper conundrum. So you've got Vellenrauter and Bijlo. Bijlo can never stay fit in his whole career. And Vellenrauter's making mistakes again. So if they got those things right, Feyenoord would be certainly they were PSV and more consistent than Champions League. And there's also Brian Prisker, he's a whole different conversation completely. What's your assessment on the final, Mike? So they're fourth at the winter break, but could they
Yeah.
be even more than that?
Yeah, I think they've been a bit hit and miss because there's been some great results for them, and you're like, oh, here we go, here's Feyenoord back.
Yeah.
You know, the draw against Manchester City away. We can say what we want about Manchester City at the moment, but coming back from 3-0 down to get a draw there was a great moment. And you know, I call it Feyenoord to kick on, and then you get a result like that against PSV where they just get absolutely played off the park. And yeah, they've had injuries this season. You know, there's been times where they've been without Jimenez. You know, Stengs has been out for quite a lot of the season. Hartman's still out. It is a new side with young players. You know, one of the players not mentioned is Haji Musa, who's come into it, and he's really come into his own the past few weeks. And I think he's been excellent, and he's got a big future ahead of him. But they need to get more out of him. They need to get more out of the midfield. When Hwang's missing, it looks a totally different side. So yeah, it's hit and miss. When they're on form, they look great, but when they're poor, they're really poor, and that they showed that against PSV, and they got absolute bad. And yeah, I think Hanko will go. I think that although he's denying it, you know, there seems to be that big link now to Juventus, and I think clubs will be circling for him because he is a quality player. He's going to come at, no offense to Feyenoord, at a cheaper price. So I do think he's going to be one of the January pickups for a bigger side, and replacing him is going to be tough. They don't really have many players can come in and do that. So yeah, it's going to be a big January transfer window for them. Keep him, then yeah, they can push on second half. If they lose them, they need to bring in some replacements for him. So yeah, that'll be one to watch in January. But I do think they still have enough to finish second. I think they can kick on now that they've got Jimenez back, Stengs back. If they can fix that midfield and then make a decision on who's the best goalkeeper, then yeah, they can do well because they're showing it in the Champions League that they're capable, especially at home, of being anyone. So I still have high hopes for them that they can finish second.
Yeah, I think they have the playing squad to finish second, and it's what Priska can adapt with them now. Yeah, all those problems you've just said are ones that if they fix them, they're a proper side. And I say that because we've got loads of Dutch teams here that are on the cusp of finishing in a playoff position, mostly in a European competition at the moment. How many of those are really going to make it through those? We've got PSV and Feyenoord, who should now be going through in the Champions League playoffs. That'll be okay, but then it's what we do after that. So who do they meet? Can they get past that? Can they get past the round after that one? I think the answer you're thinking is no, probably not. It'll be really hard. You've got Ajax in the Europa League who have fallen into those playoffs now. I've fancied them for a long time to be that top 8. I hope they can get back into there. I think it would be a big advantage to them. Because that's still the team I think who can go the furthest in Europe with a couple of additions in January. RZ and Twente might not even make it through. Probably looking at 2 wins needed in those last 2 games Europa League to do that. RZ maybe will have enough to be there, but they're going to come up a cropper when they meet a good side in the playoffs. Yeah, it's a shame because the coefficient is a whole nother conversation about the Eredivisie. But I think it would be a shame to slip back on that this season. The season is still long though. Like there's still lots that can happen. But we see it too often, haven't we, where Dutch teams have just been knocked out quite early, and it's been a bit sad. But let's keep ambitious with this one. At least one team will make it to the last 4 of a competition. Be a really good run. Yeah. I'm losing track here because I was talking about Feyenoord, and I just want to also mention about Haj Musa. I've really impressed with him. He's another player like Kenneth Taylor. 2024, it's been a brilliant year. He's had real stinker games as well in there, but the way he's come on from that to this consistent performance at Feyenoord, I think that's a player that's going to stick around now. I don't think he's going to settle back into a mediocre player. This is a guy that's really technically gifted, and someone's obviously working with him to bring him this far. And credit will go to Priska and his coaching team if he goes on to be as good as he was in the past, 6, 7 or 8 games we had all these goals and assists. So yeah, hope he keeps it up. Should we talk about the other 2 teams, that top 6, Mike? Let's touch upon Arsenal and Twente before we hit that like half an hour mark of our show. And then we can spend the rest of the time divulging into the rest of the league. Arsenal and Twente then. Twente have reformed back, haven't they, like since they finished 3rd last season. I've not enjoyed really watching them too much this season. In the last campaign, I was tapping them to quite a bit, going, it's good to see a team growing here, coming on under Joseph Oosting. Oosting's not doing a bad job. I just think the players he's got, like he's lost his starting 11 over the past 2 or 3 years. Obviously, Ryan Jansen's done a great job of building that team, but Oosting has inherited this side that's lost several players as it's gone on, without really properly replacing them. There are some players that have grown and become good players. So you got Salary at left back, I think's really come on. Bart Van Rooij has been good at right back since coming in over the summer. But Mace Hilgers, I thought he would carry his development. Not so much. They've got Sem Stein, who's scoring lots of goals from attacking midfield. And it had to be a shoo-in for example, my team of the season so far in the Eredivisie, but I didn't really want to put him in there. I just felt like I had to because he's top goal scorer in the league with 12 goals. But really, I'm like, his overall play, I don't know sometimes. I don't know whether he does enough in that build-up. He does enough with his physical attributes. I just think he's a really good goal scorer in the box. Great strike as well from a free kick once against, was it PSV now? They lost like 6-1, scored the first goal. So, yeah, a good team that has sadly not done well enough in the Europa League should finish in that top 6 in the Eredivisie. And is that okay for Twente, really, given where they were years ago back in the second tier because of the financial problems? Like, maybe this ain't that bad. Fans don't seem dissatisfied anyway, from what I can see.
Yeah, I think the problem with Twente is that to reach that next level and get back to where they were, prior to the financial trouble, is that they need to raise some money, and the only way you're going to raise some money is to have some players that are going to be worth something. And right now, you look at the squad and you're like, okay, maybe if they sell Stein, they'll get a little bit of money because somebody will pay for him because he scores goals, and that'll be what he goes for, wherever he can do it. And a bigger league, I kind of see him as like a championship player right now. Can he go and maybe play in championship and then do well there, and then maybe make a step up, or like a lower level Bundesliga side? I don't really see him going to the Premier League and then doing well there. I don't think he has the skill set. And then you look around the squad and you're like, who's going to raise the funds? Because, it's still Ricky Van Wolfswinkel up front. Sam Lammers seemed to be a hit and miss like he has been his whole career. He came in and he was like, oh, he's scoring goals now, but then he seems to be dropped now to the bench and it's gone a bit awry. And Van Wolfswinkel's now the number one striker again. Then you've got players still there like Vlap, who is an Eredivisie player. He always will be an Eredivisie player. He seems to do all right, but he's not good enough for that top level. And then you've got players that haven't kicked on, like the Sadelecs, the Dan Rots. You look at up front, they're still playing Mitchell van Bergen, and he's one of these players that, he's got a lot of pace, but he's got absolutely no output. And that's when you see that Twente are struggling to keep up because they've got these players that, they're decent Eredivisie players and they're better than what's in the bottom half, but they're not good enough to challenge like the PSV and Ajax. And until they get that funding where they can maybe bring in a couple of players that are better, they're just going to stay there. And you need to look around the Eredivisie and you need to look around the second division to pick up these players that can do a job for them. Because I think that's what Utrecht have done. We didn't actually talk about it, but they're going to have Milano Jonathans coming in. I think it's next summer. I think that's a deal for next summer. I don't think it's January. But there's gems in the second division. I think there's a midfielder at Excelsior right now who's getting really bigged up as the next big thing. I think he got called the Frankie de Jong of the second division. And that's the sort of players like Feyenoord have done it. They picked up Mats Wiefer from Excelsior and he went on to the Premier League quality. That's what Twente need to do. They need to look around and try and find these hidden gems and really bolster the squad, because right now they just don't have that, and they don't have those players that can sell to then bring in the money to then go to the next level. So I think the 5th or 6th is probably the best they can hope for this year. And then what can they do in the summer if they don't raise those funds?
You say about the players that they should sign to try and bridge that gap, but the ones they signed, for example, over the summer haven't really worked out. I mean, I just said earlier how Van Rooij was a good signing. Yeah, he's been okay, but he won't grow to be as good as a player that could play for PSV, for example. What about is it? I forgot his first name, but the TF, the winger, who they signed from Switzerland over the summer. They thought, interesting buy. Like, could this be a success? Twente fans been slating him big time. Mm. I think he's rubbish. And whenever I've seen come on, say, off the bench in the Europa League, I've been like, oh, yeah, he doesn't look great. He's got a long way to go if he's going to play in the 21st team. But he's the kind of player that would have signed going, oh, he will score tons for us like Tadic did. We'll sell him for 12, 15 million. We'll make good money. We'll be able to buy a few more players after that, like Dutch teams do. But it's not going to work for them here with Mateaf. And Sam Lammers has had a good start, but yeah, Van Volsink has become the first choice striker again. He's got know-how. Throws his body around. He scores tapping every now and again, penalty. But is he what Twente want to be leaving line at this point? No, they would have seen him as a backup player by now. Because they keep trying to make him, but they can't. Let's go on to AZ Alkmaar to round off the top six. So at the winter break, AZ are fifth, but with the potential of coming back up further in the league. I think they're a team that have more quality than Twente, but maybe not quite as much as an Ajax or a Feyenoord. But I do always see potential with AZ. They've got lots of young players. And a small spoiler, I mean, if you're enjoying this podcast, you'll definitely enjoy one that we'll have out next week. We'll be looking at some top wonder kids that are coming through, some top Dutch players that are young are coming through. And AZ have a few of those, in my opinion. They've had this team, haven't they, that won the youth version of the Champions League, and now that these players are coming through, some haven't been great, and I am going to go against what you're thinking, Mike. I'm not a big fan of Poku or Adai. I haven't seen enough from them. I wanna be a fan. I can't be yet. I think you probably agree with me more on Poku though than Adai. Poku's just pace, doesn't really have much there. Adai has lots of skills, but I don't see it enough yet. Whereas they've been trying to bring through like Quackman and Smith recently. Ozo Duro's been the first choice goalkeeper this season, having barely played any games at all for AZ before that. So, yeah, they got potential. When they beat Twente 1-0 before the winter break, like that quality was there for sure on the pitch. You could see that. They got Jordi Klaas in midfield still, who's as good as ever, in my opinion. If you just gave them, I don't know, 20 million, they're going to get two players from any league. Like, it'll just boost them so much. You'd love to give them that. I still have question marks a little bit on the head coach. Like, I don't know sometimes whether Martin Martins is that boss that is going to go and have a good career elsewhere, or, for example, manage the national team. I don't know if he's that level, but he has kind of shook me up a little bit because he had some bad results last season and this one. AZ were looking like they were going to fall into mid-table at one point, and now they won some games in the spin, and they're looking like definitely a shoo in for top six. But could they finish fifth, fourth, third, even? The potential's there, but I don't know if it'll be this season. AZ always doing that, though. Of course, they fall back a little bit. They'll grow some players and become a really good team again. And then they'll sell a couple and fall back a little bit. And just a final point before I let you have a little go at the guy on AZ, Mike. Ruben van Bommel. I was excited at the start of the season, but now I'm not sure again. Has he only scored like 2 goals in the Eredivisie all season so far? It's not a great output for a left winger, is it? It's trying to come on a little bit now.
Yeah. Like, for me, I'd say going into the second half of the season, AZ are probably the most exciting side for me because of the young players.
Yeah, true.
Keith Smith coming through, to me, is like that. He's like must watch. Like, need to see him coming through. Quackman coming through finally. That's exciting. Pierre Koopmeiners kind of showing it. He's up to it. You know, he's not his brother, but
he's not young, is he? But
yeah, but he's kind of getting to where his level needs to be. Better goals as well. At the back,
I think it's really good.
Again, it is the sort of up front. I agree that you had him in your team of the week, team of the season so far. Sorry, but I've not been that impressed by Troy Parrott. I don't think he's been that great.
Fair enough.
He's been benched in some games. You know, Max Meerdink has started some games. I don't think he's set the world alight. I think Van Bommel's getting better. I think he had injuries this season. But I do think if Van Bommel sorts his finishing out, I think he's got the quality to go far. I think he does need to score more. He does need to assist more, but that'll come. And yeah, it's the right wing. So you've got Lado, Poku, Adai, and I don't think any of them have really set the world alight yet. Most of I've still got excitement for Adai because he is still so young. So I do think he can come good. I'd maybe say that he's going to probably be a player for next season. Then he'll show what he's about. But yeah, the fact that Keith Smith's now getting game time for me is probably the most exciting thing about AZ, because he looks like he could be world class ever since he's come through the young. Just his dribbling skills, his his finishing, his ability on the ball. I think he's got everything. I know the Dutch media are very excited about him coming into the side now. So yeah, he's the one for me to watch in the second half of the season. And he's the one that makes me excited for AZ and thinks that they could still probably finish third or fourth if they can kick on. But I do have doubts about the coach. I do have doubts about their defence. I think there are 2 or 3 players missing from challenging. So yeah, we'll see how they do. But I'd still say if there's one Dutch side that you want to watch between now and the end of the season, if you're a big Netherlands national team fan, it's probably AZ for me.
Yeah, well said. And no more spoilers for our Wonder Kids show that we're going to do really soon. But I think K Smith has to be in that. I want to pull up the Eredivisie table again. Let's go for another 10 minutes here. Let's just talk about some of these sides that are there. Go Ahead Eagles for me have been that best of the rest so far. 7th place at the minute, and they have really good technical players. I mean, I've put Edvardsen on the thumbnail for this show today. He's come back to full fitness and looks like a player that can play high at the league for me, or get a transfer elsewhere. That's Oliver Edvardsen, by the way, because there are 2. The other one, the striker Victor Edvardsen, he was going to go to Barnsley in the summer. He didn't actually go to League One in England. Stayed in the Eredivisie, and I think he showed that he's a bit better than League One now. And with the goals he scored, maybe he gets to move to, like say, a championship and can get a career there. Good physical striker. Now also putting the ball in the back of the net. Some of the good players are there. I've really liked seeing Erik Jansana, the older Ajax youth product. He's brilliant midfield. He's all action. He's got some good numbers when it comes to attacking and defending. And Lindhorst, good old Everett Lindhorst, who we've talked about in the past on Football-Oranje as like a wonder kid, actually realises some of that potential now. Mid-table in the Eredivisie, fine, but doing all right. I mean, like, where obviously the stories in the league, Mike, without me coming too much from a monologue, like I've been disappointed by Sparta a lot. Morristai coming in has not made a big difference. I'm not surprised that EKC Varberg and Alma City are in the bottom 2 direct relegation spots. But Mohir Tardan getting to full fitness again with EKC is like, that is a story. And I really hope that he carries on with that. 22 years old now, 5 clubs he's failed at. Now he's at EKC, like, this could be the one. Maybe he gets a good move out of this. I don't think he will play, though, at the top of the Eredivisie. I don't think he'll go to Serie A or the Premier League. But what I do think will happen is I think he'll get a big money move to, say, Saudi Arabia or like Turkey or something, and I could see him doing well there for career. But it'd be interesting to hear your opinion on that in a sec. Elsewhere, like the 3 promoted sides all doing okay. None of them are in the relegation zone, and the best one of the lot, the one that the one I can sit smugly here and say, Knack Breda. I've loved seeing his eyes are rolling. I've loved seeing him do really well, and I thought when they came out last season for the playoffs, like they were going to be mauled. I thought that they would be thrashed a lot. Just look at some of the players they had in defence, but they've come on a lot. And Karl Herfkens has done well as a manager. A few little decent players have been added in there. And they've done well. Okay, a bit better than I thought. But 10th place at this point is, it's really, really good for them. And I'd love to see it as well. Great team. Great to have them back and around that mid-table. But yeah, you'll go, Mike. Tag team. What do you think about the rest of the league?
I think they're well and played doing so well. In 9th as well is a big story. I think the fact that they're +2 goal difference as well. You know, they keep it tight at the back and they don't score many goals, but it's effective. And the fact that it's a scrap between 7th and 11th, I think there's like clusters. It seems to be 1 to 6, then it seems to be 7 to 11, and then it seems to be the rest are sort of battling.
You'd hope NEC Nijmegen could jump into those playoff positions eventually, but they've not had a good season.
No, and they just announced that they're sticking with Roger Meyer, and I don't know why. He's not doing well, and they've not recruited well, and I think it's going to get worse because Dirk Propper's going to go, and he's going to get a move, and then what do you do after that? Koki Agago is still scoring goals, but it seems to be just him. Sonta Hansen's one of these players that's hit and miss. You know, he does that wonder goal that he scored where he dribbled past, was it Utrecht against? But he dribbled past the whole team and scored, and then he still loses that game. They seem to lose a few games like last minute as well. The only excitement for me is that they keep getting linked with Babadi on loan from PSV, and I'd love to see
I'd
that.
love to have that, yeah.
Because I think he's born in Nijmegen. I think he came through there, maybe academy before PSV snapped him up. So I think it'd be a bit of a homecoming for him, and it gives him the game time that he wants, because he's openly said, "I want, a loan would be beneficial for me," because he's not getting the game time that he should be getting at PSV. So spending the rest of the season on loan at NSA would be fantastic for him. He would help them out exponentially. So I'd love to see that happen. Robin van Persie's Heerenveen, one of the only sides to beat PSV Eindhoven this season, but they can do that and then lose 3-0 away to NAC Breda the next week. They're just so hit and miss. He said at the start he's going to be kamikaze, all out attacking. He got in PSV's face when they weren't prepared for it. They won, but then sometimes they go away and they just get carved open and they lose 3-0. That's why they're minus 14 goal difference, because they can win one game but then get beat 4-5-0. And then at the end, Van Persie's still so happy. He's still just like, yeah, this is great. I'm not going to change. He's just loving being a coach, and it's fun. It's fun to watch Heerenveen. I don't think they've got many standout quality players like we've seen from Heerenveen in the past. They're going to go on and do a lot, but I think that they're going to be about mid-table. I don't see them getting a European spot.
No.
But yeah, that's sort of mid-table. Groningen started well. I was excited for them coming back, the young players that they've got, but they seem to have drifted pretty badly. And you can see them probably getting dragged into sort of relegation playoff spot. Same with Heracles and Sparta. Sparta have been, for me, the biggest surprise in the fact that they've been terrible, absolutely shockingly bad. And you think that the players that they have, like Windhorst up front, the experience of players like de Guzman and Morris Stein going back there where he has so much success, it's just not worked out. Cato's still there, and they've been terrible. Only 3 points above a direct relegation spot, so it's tough. But I don't think we can argue with the bottom two teams. Almere City was sacked. Maduro, it was the right choice. He wasn't doing much, and RKC, worst team in the league. But the fact that they've got Ihataren is a bonus, and the fact that when he started games for them, he's actually started to provide assists. He scored that penalty that won him a point as well. I think it was a pre-assist in the last game. There's a fancy little touch. They got the ball through and it got crossed in and someone scored from it. He's showing glimpses of quality, and that's what RKC need. And if they can get him full fitness, he is a player that can get them out of trouble. But whether he can do it on his own is another thing. And the fact that they're minus, they've conceded 41 goals, the most in the league, shows you where the trouble is. Hatchin might be able to get them a few goals, but it's not the goals that's scoring, it's the goals that are conceding at the back. That's the big issue. So, they need to stop that. But I think it's interesting for the league. I think you've got a team at the bottom that's got a quality player like Hatterin. It's kind of like when Fortuna Sittard brought in Yilmaz, and you're like, oh, this is great. And, a team that's in the bottom half that have this player that we can enjoy watching, but then that didn't work out. So far, it's been okay with Ihataren, but if he goes off the rails again, they're just going to go down. So if he can keep his head on, keep pushing, then I think he can get moved in the summer. And whether it's to Turkey or to a mid-table sort of Eredivisie side, it takes him to that. RKC maybe going to like a Utrecht, which is I think is his hometown, then building on and on from there. I think it's the smart move for him. But it's congested at the bottom as it always is, and there's a few teams right now that could be relegated or jump up to the top half, as there always is at this time in the Eredivisie.
I think you're looking at what will come up next, what will come up in the second half of the season. We're going to have a nice battle for those positions in the top six that will get. I think we'll see some gaps emerge quite quickly, but the main ones will be who gets the Champions League spots, of course, and in what order. So, can Ajax or Feyenoord get that second place? It's quite precious in Dutch football at the moment. Who will get that playoff spot for the Europa Conference League, and who's going to end up getting relegated? I think the bottom two will stay the same, but that playoff spot's going to be really hot contested. I can't see Sparta Rotterdam staying in that place, but I also don't know what will change. But those things over January, of course, that will impact that. I'll see how much goes on in terms of transfers. Mike, thanks for joining me anyway. It's been really good to talk about the Dutch League today. Always love to talk about the Eredivisie. Yeah, any other hopes for you for 2025?
Oh, I'd like to see. Well, I'd love to say, Netherlands are going to win a trophy in the Nations League, but that obviously brings a bad World Cup draw. So yeah, who knows about that? But yeah, I'd love to see a Dutch club go far in Europe. I'd love, please, can we see a striker emerge from somewhere in the Dutch league? Because if you talk about the best attacking players in the league, you're not talking about Dutch players. And even if you look at Ajax, you got Mika Götze, Belgian, PSV. Noah Lang's maybe the only one, but Luke de Jong, he's not going to get national team back. Jokic Belgian, Feyenoord, Paxel's Brazilian, Jimenez Mexican, Hadj Musa's Algerian, I think.
I think you're right there.
Yeah, so you're not seeing the influx of Dutch attackers coming through at the moment. So yeah, we need that to change, and we need to hope that there's somebody waiting in the wings just to explode. We need our Yamal to come through. Yamal, the 16-year-old wonder kid to come from nowhere. It's just going to tear the league up. But at the moment, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But maybe next year, one will come through that will take us into the World Cup and be a wonder kid that the Netherlands can cherish. Yeah,
those are all things that we can hopefully look forward to. A nice striker coming through for the Netherlands, an entertaining league, and also teams going far in Europe too. Mike, thanks for joining me. And yeah, I hope people enjoyed the show. If so, show us. Appreciate it by giving it a like. Let us know if you want another one. Nice and soon as well in the Eredivisie. It is, of course, in its winter break, so do give us a little while whilst things get back into full proceedings. But we will have a Wonder Kids like sort of podcast, little tiny thing for you to enjoy at early January. We're going to talk about. I haven't decided quite how many yet, Mike, but the creme de la crop of Dutch football at the moment. Who are those Wonder Kids coming through, like we used to do? So there's that to look forward to. We've got Adania stuff coming in March, so we need to fill some space between now and then, and we will have plenty more coming up for you. So keep your eye on anything Football-Oranje related as things come through. Transfer window, of course, is opening any moment now, so lots coming up on the Twitter page and also on the website too. That's it for us now. We'll see you soon. Thanks everyone for watching.